Hey, St. Catherine of Siena. Father Andrew with your daily message of hope here. Father Tim spoke about yesterday us just starting this new normal, right? That we were going to go back, but that we don't want to just be the same old version of ourselves that we were before this pandemic and before the coronavirus. And just like the world's going to go back slowly, bit by bit, I think we got to be patient with ourselves and go back slowly. But do we first desire to be different? Do you desire to be a different kind of person going back to work, going back to normal life, going back to family life, going back to whatever you normally encounter in your life? So that'd be question number one I have for you is, do you actually want to be different? I know I want to be different. I don't want to come back and just be a slave to my work. I don't want to be a slave to my to-do list where I just try to knock out task after task after task. I don't want to be so preoccupied in my mind that when strangers are walking down the sidewalk or I'm walking around campus and somebody stops me, that I can't just be present in that moment with them, right? I don't want to be so preoccupied with silly things, even important things, but silly things. I want to be a prayerful priest. I want to be a priest that prays an hour a day, just as a non-negotiable. I want to be able to read. I want to be a priest of deep wisdom from the church's tradition. So I'm going to try to figure out in these next couple weeks, what do I really want? And ultimately, what the Lord's been telling me is, will you be excited to do my will? See, when I was in seminary, right before I was in seminary, I was in college, and I was thinking about, God, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? I had this girlfriend for 3 years, and I was wondering, what is the will of God for me? And I continued to go to prayer over and over and over again and ask this question, what do you want me to do with my life? Am I called to be your priest? And eventually he told me, you just got to stop with that question, and you just got to pursue me. Basically, you just got to be holy. And I felt this abundance of joy at finally just doing the Lord's will. I can do the Lord's will, and that brought me so much joy. And eventually the Lord's will became very clear for me, and it was to become a priest. Story for another time. But the Lord's really engaging that same space in my heart now, which he hasn't done in a real way in the past 7 years, at least in this same way. And so, can we believe, my brothers and sisters, that the will of God for you and the will of God for me is actually going to be the best thing for us? And can we have joy and excitement at the possibility of doing the will of God today, tomorrow, when this all goes back to normal life, whatever? Teresa of Avila, who's one of my favorite saints, I wrote my thesis on her, and she says this in her Interior Castle, talking about prayer, but mostly our will. She listen to this. The whole aim of any person who is beginning prayer, and she says this, and don't forget this because it's very important. This girl, she's so funny. It's such a blast reading her. Should any person beginning prayer should be that she work and prepare herself with determination and every possible effort to bring her will into conformity with God's will. Whatever we're going to start to do, we got to be thinking, God, what is your will for me? Because everything about our will and his will being united is going to be the fulfillment of our heart's desires and what actually gives life to our life. So that's my hope for you, is that as you begin to think about what is this going to look like, that you would ask yourself the question, do I desire change? And what is God's will for me? And then, will we desire to do the Lord's will and have excitement that tomorrow when we wake up, we're going to have the opportunity to accomplish God's will. And when we accomplish God's will, we're going to grow in holiness, and we can find great joy in growing in holiness. Love y'all. We're praying for you, as always.